This is Salt's YouTube, and we are having some hot topic conversations. And right now, I'm joined by Denise, who is a qualified therapist, works for the NHS, and also have your own private practice. We're going to talk about, and this really is a hot topic, attachment styles and the patterns in dating and how we can do that really healthily and understand ourselves better. Is that a good?
Yeah.
Give us like a breakdown for people like me who are like kind of have heard of it but aren't quite sure.
Not quite. Yeah, so it's a really important system that we kind of use to know how people operate in their relationships.
Yeah.
So everyone has one, and also you might have a couple, depending on your relationship.
So it could be that like in a romantic relationship I do this, but with my friends I'm a bit more like this, and at work I'm a bit like that.
Exactly. Your attachment styles will show up in just those sort of work
in
relationships.
Like any relationship.
Exactly. Even down to the postman. Like how you relate to people.
Denise.
I know.
Okay.
So the main three, there are some others that kind of fall into the outliers, but that's for like 2 to 3% of the population.
Okay.
But the main ones that we think about are secure attachment.
Secure attachment.
That's 50% of the population.
Okay.
Then you've got anxious, 25%, and then you've got avoidant, 25%.
Okay.
In terms of romantic relationships,
the
people that tend to be attracted most to each other is, of course, the anxious and the avoidant, which just brings up
because one's like chasing and the other one's like running away. Okay.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking that when you're looking at people who are approaching relationships in a really healthy way, what you want to be working towards is secure attachment?
I mean,
is it wrong? Is it bad?
You don't necessarily have to get to being a securely attached person. I don't think that's necessary. Attachment styles can change, but it takes a lot of work, and that's where sort of therapy comes in. However, you can function well knowing your attachment style. The importance is knowing it and knowing what you need from it and why you behave the way you do. It's not necessarily about getting to a certain place, because each of them, they're neither good nor bad. They just are. Okay. But I guess you have to think about, well, actually, are these behaviors I'm exhibiting?
But they could result in behaviors which aren't good.
And you have to think, well, and also your partner as well will have to think, well, actually, does this work for us?
So what are the key characteristics of each of those three types then?
So securely attached people are very like sort of trusting. They welcome relationships. They welcome people being dependent on them as well. They're able, when there is difficulty in relationships, they're able to just communicate that clearly and state their own expectations. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds cool. I want to be that one.
We all want to be that one.
I'll take one of those, please.
When you get to the anxious, it's that kind of need to have your person be close. If you think about it in terms of, because this is where attachment theory comes from children. Your children want to be close to their parent, but if you have a parent that maybe is off in the way, the connection isn't always there, that child is going to crave mommy's attention or daddy's attention, be really eager to please. That's where that anxiousness comes from. It's wanting someone to be close and not wanting them to be so far away from you that you can't have that secure base. We're always thinking about our secure base, so feeling really secure in the relationship that you're in. And then the avoidant, again, still stems from childhood, but it's kind of that fear of being taken over by another person. It feels claustrophobic for them. It's like, oh, this person's going to get so close that I'm going to be almost like consumed and I won't be my own person anymore. And my identity will be taken away. And then they might leave. So therefore, like, what will I be left with? So it's this sort of fear. That's why sometimes we say fearful avoidant, because they're fearful of the closeness. They do want it. But when it gets close, it gets a bit too real.
Okay. So then what happens when you get that sort of typical relationship that we talk about, where you've got one anxiously attached and one one
avoidant.
When you've got those two.
In the relationship, it can get a little bit messy in communication. So in therapy, those are the couples that we tend to see most, where they feel like the other partner doesn't understand them and, they can't get what they need from them. So it feels really fractured. And it's really about communicating. First of all, I think it's about knowing who you are and then communicating what you need. So because, like, say, for example, the anxious person in that relationship is like, I need you, I really want to spend time with you. When can we spend time with you? But actually that kind of closeness then just makes the avoidant person be like, oh, when will I breathe? It's like, you're doing too much. They don't know how to say that. So then what they naturally do is pull away. But of course, that anxious person goes, oh, you're pulling away. I need to get more of you. I need to do more that's going to get your attention. If you think back to that child that's like chasing after mom or chasing after dad, like, I need more of your attention. Yeah, they get a bit lost in translation almost. So sort of my work and other sort of relationship therapists is about getting them to understand each other, express like, okay, so this is what this person wants. And often it's about getting to a compromise. You know, this is what they feel okay with, especially for the avoidant person that doesn't usually have the language to express. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Okay, I really like you, but I'm just feeling really overwhelmed. Can we take a bit of a break? And for that anxious person to then not receive that as I am rejecting you. And just being like, okay, they will come back. And that's what that anxious person needs. The kind of secure base and knowledge that actually my person might need to go away for a little bit. They might need to go see their family, see their friends, or just sit in a room quietly, but they'll always come back to me. Their withdrawal has nothing to do with me. It's more about them. So that's where I think sometimes it gets a little bit, you know, the magnets almost feel like they're pulling apart. But actually we can bring it together, but it takes a lot of compromise in speaking the same language.
Someone's listening to this, they're like, this is so interesting. I'd love to understand my relationship dynamics better and understand maybe what my attachment style is. Like, is it kind of obvious which yours is? Like, how do you work out like where you are with that?
It's not necessarily obvious. And I do think this is where people get into sort of the mistake of like social media can drive us a little bit
we can
crazy.
Like self-diagnose a bit like, oh, but I'm this kind of that person. I'm, you know.
So as a therapist, it's much harder when someone comes in and goes, I know exactly where I am. It's like, oh, you need to kind of stay curious. Because like I said, you might be attached in different ways to different people. My attachment style to my mom is very different to my attachment style to my romantic partner. If you want a deep dive, I say go to the original source. So the actual attachment style questionnaire takes a little bit longer. It takes about half an hour, but it looks into your different relationships. And having done that recently, it gave like a full profile of who I am, my different relationships across like family, friends, you know, all of that. So I think take the time to research it properly. I wouldn't be so kind of consumed with knowing other people's. It is more.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of like diagnosing, like he's just totally like that because he's an avoidant, and you're like, are you just saying that because you've read one text message conversation between us? Okay, so stop trying to diagnose other people.
Exactly, and especially your friends. People that they're dating.
Oh my gosh!
Like don't get
just sit down. You've got the tea, and you're like, wow, he's obviously a blah blah on the color wheel, and you're like just constantly naming different things with people.
Yeah, and that's the thing because he might just be like that with you, or she might just be like that with you. It's not enough, especially if you haven't been knowing and dating someone for a while. I think it's a bit unfair, and we can push people away from. Oh, well, he's avoidant. I don't want that. And I'm really like that. That's like an ick for me because I'm like, everyone is dateable. As long as there's some self-awareness there. The attachment styles are everywhere. And trying not to, I guess, be picky and like I'm only going to date secure people because again
that just seems to me sensible though. I hear what you're saying, but actually that just no I think it's really healthy to widen that perspective. But if we were in a world where like everyone wore a little badge with their attachment style, I could see myself ignoring the people who aren't secure because it just feels like you'd be signing up to like do a huge amount of work.
But relationships are work.
Oh, okay. So you're always signing up to do a huge amount of work, regardless.
Absolutely. So don't forget, it's not like you won't have the difficulties in the relationship. It's just secure people deal with it differently, and anxious people deal with it differently. So a secure person is going to be more direct, and that's not everyone's bag. Because they know what they like, they know what they need, so they can sometimes be very direct about that and say, actually, that's not okay. I'm not gonna stand for that. That's not acceptable behavior, and that might not be great for some people. But I think what we can emulate from securely attached people is just being able to communicate. Like this is what I know about me so far. And so far, because again, you know, like life changes, you learn something new, you discover a new part of yourself. But so far, this is what I know about me. I think that level of direct communication helps all relationships. But for the rest of the world, what I kind of want to say is, it's okay. Don't run away from people that are anxious and doing the work.
Yeah.
Don't run away from people that are avoidant and willing to kind of be self-reflective.
If somebody's watching this and they're like, hang on, I think that I've got some unhealthy patterns in dating, and maybe that's because my inclination is to run away, or my inclination is to push in harder when someone pulls back. How do you start to work on it? And because there are lots of people who kind of, well, I don't know if they like the idea of it, but they're open to the idea of being more self-reflective. But it's almost like, well, where do you start? It feels like quite a big thing.
It is quite a big thing. I think if you're a Christian, definitely Holy Spirit is just like your easiest answer, because like I'm pretty sure sometimes that like the Holy Spirit
to be convicted when you're acting from that place.
Not even, but like bring to my memory times when I have, you know, like I've operated out of insecurity, you know, out of fear of this person leaving me. And those are the questions like the Holy Spirit loves to answer. It's like, okay, I got a list. But in that, you kind of have to prepare yourself for that somewhat.
Wow,
Yeah, because it's like, oh, okay, all right. And it's like, are there different relationships that I show up like this? You know, if you find that maybe you've just had a breakup, or, you know, a friend says something that's particularly pinches you a little bit, just kind of non-judgmentally ask yourself, do they have a point? Is there something? But also look for relational patterns. So this is where people get, if you're only looking at your romantic relationships, you're kind of doing yourself a disservice. So look at the relationship between yourself and your parents. Your siblings is always a good one.
I think I'm the realist me with my sister.
Yes.
I think I'm the most me, because if I feel like being mean, she's probably the only person who like I may not fully suppress that with. You know,
so that might be your secure base.
But also then like I'm probably most generous to my sister, and I find her really funny, and I think I'm funny around her. So there's like I see those things, and some when I'm around other people, I'll like orchestrate those things and dial them up or dial them down depending on the audience. Whereas with her, I'm just like, it is what it is. You know, take me as I am today.
You're not going anywhere.
That's the thing. Like there will not be a day where you stop taking my calls. So we are where we are. You know?
And so that's your secure attachment.
Okay.
So one like
so actually it doesn't necessarily make you a nicer person, because there are times where she gets quite a bad side of me. There's times where she gets a great side of me. But so it's not that like that's I'm getting it. So it's not that like that's the best version of Lauren for other people. That's just the version that's most comfortable. Hey, okay.
So your secure base, and like this is the thing that I think sometimes people get confused. So if you didn't have great parents, it doesn't mean that you can't be securely attached, because you just need one person to have a secure base with. And that can be, because if that's the most significant relationship for you, then you can be securely attached, because you learn a lot of good habits from them. You learn how to just be yourself, how to just be at ease, how to not be anxious around them. That can still help all of your other relationships. Whereas I think sometimes people think, does depend on how the theory has been written to say that it's only dependent on your parents. No. So some people have really kind of mixed feelings about their parents and how they grew up, but great relationship with a grandma.
Hey, that's true. Okay. So parents are important, but they're not the only significant relationships from your childhood that can influence. Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm really taking a course here.
And the interesting...
What if you see all three?
What if you see?
What if like
that would be okay, because don't forget, you can be really avoidant with, say, your uncle, but then your brother you might be anxious with, and then your mum.
But sometimes someone's just a bit annoying. Does that mean that you're avoidant with them, or are they just a bit annoying? Like
it can be both. Both can be true. They could be annoying, and they could, you know, bring something up in you about those anxious traits. You know, even if you're securely attached, it's not like you can never be avoidant, because of course naturally we all are. There's some things that we all kind of like, I'd rather not. So there are some of those traits that can come up. So I don't think it's like, oh no, as long as I'm secure, I'm never anything else. Or if I'm avoidant, I can never be anything else, because that wouldn't be helpful to how we operate as human beings. We actually need some of these traits. They make sense in how we operate as human beings. I think the most important thing that attachment theory teaches us is exactly what the Bible says. It's not good for man to be alone. We need people. It's our need of people that brings up our need of attachment styles, because that's how we show up for people. And that's how we expect people to show up for us.
It's so easy to get complicated and messy. It's such an important part of life, right? We're seeing this like loneliness epidemic and people pulling away from relationships or turning to like online relationships or like AI even relationships and stuff like that instead. Actually, like allowing it to be quite messy, doing your best, taking steps forwards, you know, asking yourself those questions. The fruit of that, it will do wonders for your sort of mental health and for your sense of community and for your, you know, getting you past loneliness and into the sort of feeling of belonging.
I think that's what the modern day society is kind of trying to pull us away from, is like conflict, messiness. But actually, that's where you get really very beautiful relationships.
So then if we were to bring it back specifically to dating, because I imagine lots of people will be absolutely fascinated by this. If they clicked on the video, they want to date better. They want to pick partners better. They want to show up as a partner better. I'm not going to lie, some of them might want to be able to feed back to their partners a bit about, tell them a bit about themselves. But we're saying actually the most healthy way to approach this is to work out what's going on with you and leave other people to do their own journey?
No, yes and no. Okay. Yes. So it's really important first, you know, the Bible talks about taking the plank out of your own eye so that you'll be able to take the speck out of your brother's eye. It's the same principle. It's really much more important that you work on you, like, because you live with you all the time. And the more you do that, the more, first of all, able God is going to be to use you to be a mirror to someone else. We actually don't always have to have these big conversations. Well, let me tell you about you. Here's what you did. You know, sometimes people are actually watching you do good work. So they're watching you be reflective. They're watching you kind of go, do you know what? I noticed I shouted the other day.
That wasn't my best work.
That wasn't, you know, I didn't show up for you in the way that you needed. That can undo years of hurt for someone because it's like, I see the intention of that person. It's not just them telling me about myself. It's them kind of owning up to their stuff. And that means a lot more. That can be quite valuable. So I don't think the work is just like, so you can become qualified to tell people how wrong they are. You know, work on yourself so that, you know, number one, Christ can humble you, but also use you. But then also the importance is having knowledge is nothing if you don't know how to say it well and know the right time. That's what wisdom is about. Knowing the right time, knowing how much to share, because that's a lesson I've been learning. It's like, I can tell you stuff, even as clients. Sometimes you know stuff in session 1, but you don't bring it up to session 12. That person might not be ready yet to hear all of the truth. So knowing, okay, I think they can handle this now. Okay, but Grace is going to tell me they can't handle more. So let me just sit with it. Be sensible, be sensitive to people also. And just like, okay, I see them, especially if someone's trying and, you know, they want to be in a relationship with you. They're showing you kind of like all of the green flags. I think it is important to be patient in that process. You know, love is a thing that happens over years. It will transform, it will look different, it will shape shift. So kind of being precious with it. You know, the same way Jesus is with us on day 1 is not the same way he is with us now. You know, and he's had to show us a lot of patience. So I think it's important that that same journey, we reflect it in our outward relationship. Like, how much has God been patient with me? Does he tell me everything that's wrong with me or that needs a little bit more time? No, actually, sometimes he waits until you're at a certain place. And if we can do that with our relationship and not be in a mindset, I need to rush, I need to get down the aisle, and realize, actually, if this is going to be your forever person, there are things that you're going to work out in 20 years. You know, it's not, you don't need to, and I know, yes, premarital counseling, all of that is great, but you don't need to have everything figured out by that stage. Even after you've done it and you've been successful at it, there are still going to be things that you need to work out.
You're never done.
You're never done. It's an ongoing work. It's an open project. So I think if people handle it in that mindset, it takes away a lot of that anxiety. Of I need to.
That's so good. That's really powerful. Thank you so much. Denise, we could talk for ages.
Literally.
Thank you guys so much for listening into this. I hope that I know you would have taken away so much, so plenty to chew on and process. But hit like and subscribe. Keep watching these videos for more important conversations.